Hi everyone, my name is Amanda Rowe and I'm a sales engineer at Alteryx. In this video, I'm going to walk through how to build an iterative macro in Alteryx using a simple compound interest example. We'll start by looking at what the finished macro does, and then we'll build it step by step from scratch. In this demo, we'll be using an iterative macro to answer a classic financial compound interest question. How long does it take for an investment to reach a target amount? For this example, we'll use an initial investment balance of $2,500, an annual interest rate of 8%, a compounding frequency that is quarterly, and a target amount that we want to grow our money to is $5,000. So the question that we're answering is, at an 8% annual interest rate, compounded quarterly, how many quarters will it take for $2,500 to grow past $5,000? Before we build the macro, let's quickly define what an iterative macro does. An iterative macro is a macro that runs repeatedly. Instead of running the workflow one time and stopping, it runs the workflow, checks if a condition is met, and then decides whether to run again. You can think of it as if-then logic plus a loop. A normal if-then statement says, if this condition is true, do one thing, otherwise do something else. An iterative macro takes that one step further. It says, if this condition is true, stop and return the result. Otherwise, send the updated record back through the workflow and run the logic again. In this example, the loop is calculate the new investment value. Check whether the investment value is greater than $5,000. If it is not greater than $5,000, send the updated value back through the macro and run the calculation again. If it is greater than $5,000, stop looping and return the final result. That is the core idea of an iterative macro. It keeps going until a stopping condition is met. Now let's start by looking at the finished macro from the user's perspective. When the user opens or runs this macro, they are prompted to answer a few questions. The first question asks, how much money have you invested? This is the starting investment balance. In our example, we're entering $2,500. The second question asks, what is the annual interest rate? Here we're entering 8. This represents an 8% annual interest rate. The third question asks, what is the frequency? This tells the macro how often the interest compounds. For this demo, the user can enter yearly, quarterly, or monthly. We're going to use quarterly. The last question asks, how much money are you trying to make? This is the target amount. In our example, we'll use $5,000 as our target amount. When we run the macro with these inputs, the macro returns one final record. The final result tells us it would take 36 quarterly compounding periods to turn $2,500 into approximately $5,099.72. So that is the end result that we are trying to build towards. Now that we've seen what the finished macro does, let's walk through how to build it from scratch. We'll start with a blank workflow and bring a text input tool onto the canvas. In the text input tool, we create a field called Money Invested and enter $2,500 as a hard-coded placeholder. This represents the initial starting amount invested and gives us a sample value to build and test with before the macro interface is connected. Once the text input is set up, we right-click the tool and select Convert to Macro Input. Now the macro has its starting input structure, a money invested field that will eventually be populated by the user's answer to the interface questions that I showed you at the beginning of the demo. Next, we need to make sure the workflow is configured as an iterative macro. Select anywhere in the white space of the canvas and go to the Workflow tab on the left-hand side of your screen. Under Macro, select Iterative Macro. This tells Alteryx that this workflow is not just going to run once. It is going to run repeatedly until a condition is met. Now we can start building the core macro logic. From the macro input tool, the data goes into a select tool where we assign the data type of double to the placeholder field we just created. Next, the data goes into a formula tool. This formula tool does two important things. First, it creates or updates a field called money invested. This is the field the macro uses while it is looping. In this formula, you'll see something called engine.iteration number. Engine.iteration number is an internal counter that Alteryx uses in iterative macros. It tells us which loop the macro is currently on. The first time the macro runs, the iteration number is 0. Then, each time the macro loops, the number increases by 1. We use that value to control what happens on the first run versus the later runs. On the first run, when engine.iteration number equals 0, money invested starts with the user's starting investment amount, which is $2,500 in our example. On later runs, the macro uses the updated money invested value from the previous loop. This is very important. If the macro reset money invested back to $2,500 every time, it would never make progress. It would calculate the same next value over and over again and never reach the target amount. So for an iterative macro, we need the value to carry forward. The first run starts at $2,500. The next run starts with the updated value, $2,550. The next run starts with 2601, and so on. Second, this formula tool creates a field called initial investment balance. This field preserves the original starting amount. So even though money invested changes as the macro runs, initial investment balance stays fixed at $2,500. This makes the final output easier to read because we can show both where the investment started and where it ended. Next, the workflow moves into the compound interest formula tool. This is where we calculate how much the investment grows in each compounding period. We start with the annual interest rate. In this example, that value is 8, as in 8%. Then we use the compounding frequency. In this example, the frequency is quarterly. Inside this formula tool, the workflow converts the frequency into a number called compounding periods per year. If the frequency is yearly, there's 1 compounding period per year. If the frequency is quarterly, there are 4 compounding periods per year. If the frequency is monthly, there are 12 compounding periods per year. Because we selected quarterly for this example, the compounding periods per year field returns 4. Now we calculate the growth factor for each compounding period. The formula is 1 plus interest divided by time period divided by 100. In plain English, that means take the annual interest rate divided by the number of compounding periods per year, convert it from a percentage to a decimal, then add 1 so we can multiply the current investment balance by that growth factor. In our example, the annual interest rate is 8%. The compounding frequency is quarterly, so there are 4 compounding periods per year. 8 divided by 4 equals 2. That means each quarter earns 2% interest. 2 divided by 100 equals 0.02. Then we add 1, which gives us 1.02. So each time the macro runs, it multiplies the current investment value by 1.02. That gives us the next quarter's balance. So the investment grows like this. $2,500 becomes $2,550. Then $2,550 becomes $2,601. Then 2601 becomes 26.53 and 2 cents. And the macro keeps going until the investment value is greater than the target amount. Next, the workflow reaches the filter tool. The filter tool is the decision point. This is where the macro asks, has the investment reached the target yet? The condition is money invested greater than $5,000? This is the if part of our if-then logic. If the condition is false, the investment has not reached the target yet. So the record goes out of the false anchor. That false output is connected to the macro's iteration output. This is the part that creates the loop. The iteration output sends the updated record back through the macro so it can run again. So if the first run gives us 2550 and 2550 is still less than $5,000, the macro sends 2550 back through the workflow. Then the next run calculates 2601. If that is less than $5,000, it sends that back through the workflow again. This continues until the condition becomes true. If the filter condition is true, that means the investment has reached or exceeded the target. At that point, we do not want to keep looping. So the record exits through the true anchor and moves towards the final result output. At this point, the main calculation and stopping condition are built. Now we can add the interface tools that make the macro dynamic, as you saw when we first started the demo. Up to this point, the workflow logic works, but it still relies on hard-coded values. The interface tools are what let the user replace those hard-coded values with their own inputs. For each question the user answers, we use two tools, a text box tool and an action tool. The text box creates the question that the user sees, and the action tool takes the user's answer and updates the correct value inside the workflow. For these action tools, we use update value, which is the default action type. The key thing is that we choose the specific setting inside the connected tool that needs to be updated. Then, under replace a specific string, we enter the hard-coded placeholder value that we want the action tool to find and replace. This matters because we do not want the action tool changing the entire expression. We only want it to replace one specific piece of the expression, like 2500, 8, quarterly, or 5,000. For the formula tools, we select the field's expression shown as @expression. We use @expression because the user's answer needs to replace part of a formula expression, like the starting investment amount, interest rate, or frequency. For the starting investment amount, we actually use two action tools connected to the same text box. The first action tool updates the money invested expression, so the iterative calculation starts with the amount the user enters. The second action tool updates the initial investment balance expression, so the final output can still show the original starting amount. Then we use the same text box and action tool pattern for the other inputs. The annual interest rate text box updates the interest expression. The frequency text box updates the frequency expression. For the filter tool, we select operand. We use the operand because the filter condition is comparing money invested to a specific target value. The field stays the same and the operator stays the same. The only thing that changes is the target amount on the right side of the condition. The target amount text box connects to an action tool that updates the filter condition. Specifically, it replaces the hard-coded 5,000 in money invested is greater than 5,000 with the amount the user enters in the interface tool. That way, the macro stops when the investment value is greater than the user's target amount, not just the original placeholder target. So the pattern is text box asks the question, Action tool updates the specific value in the workflow that should change based on the answer. Next, we calculate periods needed to reach target. This field uses engine.iteration number again. Because engine.iteration number starts at 0, we add 1 to get the actual number of compounding periods. So if the macro stops on iteration 35, that represents 36 total compounding periods. In our example, it takes 36 quarterly compounding periods to exceed $5,000. Since there are 4 quarters in a year, 36 quarterly periods is about 9 years. Next, the workflow uses a select tool to clean up the final output. This is where we make the column names easier to understand for the user. For example, inside the macro, the field money invested is the field being updated each time the macro loops. But in the final output, that field now represents the ending value after compounding. So we're going to rename it to final investment value. That makes the output just a little bit cleaner. We also keep initial investment balance so the user can see the starting amount and compare it to the final value. The final output value fields are initial investment balance, final investment value, interest rate percentage, frequency, compounding periods per year, periods needed to reach target, and result. Finally, we create a readable result message. The result message summarizes the answer in plain language. For this example, the message says it would take 36 compounding periods to turn $2,500 into approximately $5,099.72. This result message is helpful because it translates the output fields into a simple sentence that a user can understand immediately. One small detail here is how the final investment value is rounded. In Alteryx, the round function rounds to the nearest multiple. So if we want to round to 2 decimal places, we want to round to the nearest hundredth using 0.01. That lets us display the final amount as approximately $5,099.72 instead of rounding it to a whole number. Once the final result is ready, we send the completed record to a macro output. The macro output is what returns the final result back to the workflow that uses this macro. At this point, we have both sides of the iterative macro configured. The records that have not reached the target go through the iteration output and loop back through the macro. The records that have reached the target go through the final macro output and return the result. The last thing we need to do is set up which tool is the iteration input and the iteration output so the macro knows where to loop within this workflow. First, let's take note of the tool names that we will be working with. The iteration input tool is called input 2, as shown here. And the looping iteration output tool is called output 29. Next, we go to the View menu at the top of the screen and select Interface Designer. Then on the left-hand side of the screen, we click Properties. We are looking for the sections titled Iteration Input and Iteration Output. From here, select the Input tool at the start of your macro for the Iteration Input field and the Looping Output tool as the Iteration Output. Here you can also change the icon for how your macro presents on the tool palette. The important thing to remember is that an iterative macro is essentially if-then logic with a loop. We define the calculation once, we define the stopping condition once, then the macro keeps passing the updated value back through the workflow until the stopping condition is met. That is the main concept behind an iterative macro. Hope you enjoyed.